What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Here behind me we got the Civic Type R FL5, and in today's episode I'm going to show you guys how to change the oil in FL5 Type R, and it'll also apply to most 11th gen Honda Civics. So the braking oil is still in the car. It's only got 2,000 miles on it. I know it's a little premature, but better safe than sorry. I feel more confident getting this old oil out and getting the new synthetic oil in. So without further ado, let's go ahead, raise up the FL5 Type R and get started on the oil change. Okay, the FL5 Type R is a little tricky to go ahead and raise up, so let me show you exactly what's going on here. So as you can see here, I got my jack stands ready to go. And on the front side, let's take a closer look. Okay, the front side, I got some custom-made 2x12 ramps, which I drove up. This will give me about an extra, 3.5 inches of clearance. So let me go ahead and show you guys the procedure in order to raise up the front safely. Okay, so taking a closer look at the underside of the car. Now the front jacking point is actually right behind the engine, and the oil container right there is actually pointing to the alcove of where that main jack point's at. So I'm gonna carefully take my floor jack and raise up the car in that location. That way we can put the jack stands on the front left and right, and go ahead and pull away the ramps, and then we can go ahead and raise up the rear as well. The rear is a lot more easy. Let me show you what's going on with the rear. Okay, now regarding the rear jacking point on the FL5 Type R, it's actually hidden. So towards the left-hand side of the leftmost exhaust port, you got this cover right here, and there's actually some clips on the bottom right here. So once you remove those clips, remove this cover, and it's going to reveal the rear jacking point. So let me go ahead and pull that cover off, and I'll show you the rear jacking point. We'll be able to raise this car up on the backside. Okay, so here's the diffuser cover right here, and here's the two clips removed. Now what you want to do is go ahead, remove the two clips on the bottom side, and then basically you want to pull this thing downwards and then back towards the rear of the car, and it'll come right off. And this right here is what we're working with. This is the rear jacking point of the FL5 Type R. As you can see, it's the left-hand side of the leftmost exhaust port. Okay, let's go ahead and raise up this car. Okay, the FL5 Civic Type R is safely supported on 4 jack stands, and I took some extra precautionary measures. So I went ahead and left my wooden ramps underneath the tires just in case. In addition to that, I've got the floor jack positioned from the driver's side on the factory lift point on the front. So you can never be too cautious lifting a vehicle. I just don't rely on a single source for lifting the vehicle up, such as the jack stands. So we got 4 jack stands, got the wood ramps under the tires, and I got a floor jack underneath the jacking location on the front side of the vehicle, right behind the engine. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look on the underside of the vehicle and show you what's going on. Okay, before we go ahead and get started, first things first, you want to go ahead and undo the oil fill cap right here, because if you can't get this off, you're going to be screwed. All right, that's off safely right there. You can also just go ahead and pull up the dipstick as well in order to relieve some pressure. Okay, here's the view of the underside of the FL5 Type R. And this metal pan right here is what we're going to be dealing with. Let me show you what's going on. Okay, this metal pan has multiple fasteners. Okay, so here's an example of a fastener. Looks like it's a flathead. It's got an arrow to the left, counterclockwise. So let me go ahead and turn this and see if it comes out. Okay. There's one clip right there. And then towards the front side, got a Phillips head right there, another Phillips head right there. And then moving along to the back right here, looks like I got a flathead connector. And over here on the driver's side, got a flathead connector and another flathead connector. And as you can see, there's basically some clips that hold this in position. So there's a clip on the backside, another clip on the backside, but that's not to be removed. So what I presume has to happen is once we have all the fasteners removed from this pan, we're basically going to drop this thing down and slide it backwards, and that'll get it off of these clips right here. Okay, so let me go ahead, put the phone down, see if I can get this metal pan out of the way, and then we should be able to expose the engine underneath. Let's go ahead and take care of this. All right, guys, got the oil pan off of the FL5 Type R. Now, this was tricky because there's basically two Phillips head screws that are hiding right here on the backside. So right by the lift point, right here and right here was a Phillips head screw, and I didn't see it till the last minute because it was recessed. So just go ahead and make sure you remove the two Phillips head screws in the back and the two Phillips head screws up front. And on each side, on the left and right, there's two flathead fasteners. So just go ahead and make sure you remove 8 fasteners and then take that heat shield and basically just push it backwards and it'll drop down. And here's these clips I'm talking about, and one right there. Okay, so now that we've got the metal pan off, we have straight access to the underside of the motor. So here's your oil filter, and here's your engine oil drain bolt right there. So we're gonna go ahead, undo the oil engine drain bolt, and then remove the oil filter. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of with the ratchet and the proper wrench. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the oil filter from the bottom of the engine. So I got my 3/8 ratchet, 3/8 extension, and an oil filter cap wrench, 65, 67 millimeter. Let's go ahead and see if this thing works. All right, so the 65 and 67 millimeter cap filter wrench is not working. We got an adjustable one. Let's go ahead and use that. Okay, let's go ahead and drain the engine oil with the engine drain bolt using a 17 millimeter closed wrench. Let's go ahead and take this off. Okay, let's go ahead and review the tools and materials needed in order to change the oil on a Honda Civic Type R FL5. So you're going to need 6 quarts of 0W20. I'm using synthetic, and I chose AMS oil. You can use whatever brand that you prefer. And then we got a Spoon Sports oil filter right here. And we got a Spoon Sports magnetic oil drain bolt. Now this is my 2002 Acura RSX Type S. I've got 268,000 miles on this car, and I'm obviously doing something right. And the drain bolt that's been on the motor ever since new has held up phenomenally well. So I figured I'd go ahead and implement this on the FL5 as well. So we're going to swap out the OEM oil drain bolt with this spoon unit right here. And as far as tools are concerned, we've got a 17 millimeter wrench, a rubber mallet, a large Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, an oil filter wrench, or an oil filter socket, whichever you prefer. And last but not least, don't forget about your oil pan as well. Okay, let's go ahead and install the new oil filter onto the FL5 Type R. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, open up one of the oil containers, pour a little bit of oil into the filter, and I'm going to take my finger and smear this seal right here with some oil in order to make a better seal. And then we're going to take this on the engine, hand tighten this. Do not torque this thing down with a tool of any sort. You just want to hand tighten this as tight as you can with your hand. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of this. Okay, let's go ahead and focus on the spoon magnetic drain bolt. So we got the drain bolt right here, and make sure you install a new crush washer in place, regardless if you're using a magnetic drain bolt or the factory drain bolt right here. Now the service manual, I believe, calls for 30 foot-pounds on this drain bolt right here. So I got my torque wrench set to 30 foot-pounds. So I got my torque wrench set to 30 foot-pounds with a 17mm socket. So let's go on the underside of the car, install the new magnetic drain bolt. Okay, the spoon magnetic drain bolt is installed on the oil pan, 30 foot-pounds, and the new oil filter is installed on the housing itself. Hand tighten this. All right, let's go on the top of the engine bay and start filling the motor with oil. Okay, the use of a funnel will make this job a lot easier. Just go ahead and remove the oil cap right there. Put your funnel in place. And the Civic Type R is calling for 0 W20 oil, and that's what we're going to use. So I believe Honda calls for 5.7 quarts in this engine right here. So we'll go ahead and do our best in order to fill 5.7 quarts. We'll start up and we'll check the dipstick. Let's go ahead and fill up the motor. I know it's hard to see on camera, but the oil is basically right there. So I think between these lines is perfect. So I am just a hair over, so estimated pretty good, I'd say. Let me go ahead and put the dipstick back in. We'll start the car, make sure there's no leaks, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, underneath the car, there's the oil drain bolt. I don't see any dripping. And then I got the oil filter right there. I don't see any leaks whatsoever. So I think we're good to go. Let me go and shut the motor off, and we'll go ahead and reinstall undershield right here. Okay, the metal underpan covering the engine is fully installed with the 4 flathead and 4 Phillips head screws. Let's go ahead and take this thing off the jack stands. All right, guys, I don't know if you can see, 2,020 miles. That's what the car has. I know it's subjective whether to change the oil at 2,000 or 10,000 miles like Honda recommends, but I feel more confident getting the braking oil out of the engine and starting fresh with synthetic oil. And now I'm gonna go with 6,000 to 7,000 mile intervals on full synthetic. All right, anyways, let's figure out how to reset the maintenance on this right here. Okay, so we can scroll over, maybe vehicle settings, maintenance info. Let's try that. Select reset items. Let's try engine oil. Would you like to reset maintenance information, 80% engine oil? Reset. This process can take several minutes. Maintenance information has been reset. That's all there is to it. Go back to the home here. Now let's see if it worked. Let's go back here. Okay, vehicle settings. Maintenance info. Oil life, 100%. There we go. And that's how you reset the oil life meter on FL5 Type R and probably most 11th gen Honda Civics. Okay, before this video concludes, I want to talk specifically about oil filter sockets and wrenches. So this plastic oil filter socket right here, I use this on my Acura RSX all the time. I've never had any issues whatsoever. However, on the FL5 Type R, it would not work. So this is the adjustable oil filter wrench I used. This is just an example right here. I use my neighbor's, which actually has multiple adjustments. Now, look at my toolbox. This is the Motive X oil filter socket. I use this for my Toyota Tacoma all the time, and it works perfectly for that system. And then when I went to try the spoon oil filter, the thing fit perfectly. Let me give an example. Okay, so this is the Motive X oil filter socket. You can see there's just a little bit of play right there, and that thing fit perfect. So this oil filter socket would have worked out perfect. Let me go ahead and zoom into the product number right here. So this is made by Motive X Tools, MX2320. I'll go ahead and leave a link below. And this right here was the oil filter adjustable wrench that I had. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how this thing did not work. So this is actually too big. And this right here was the Acura RSX socket. Go ahead and put this on top, and you can kind of see a lot of play right there. So this thing did not grab the stock FL5 oil filter very well. There's just too much play and it was skipping. I'll give you another side-by-side comparison of the Motive X right here. I mean, just look at that. It's like precision right there. So if you guys are looking for a great oil filter socket for the FL5 Type R, take a look at this Motive X Tools MX2320. This thing is incredible. Works out perfect for the Toyota Tacoma, and now it'll be my go-to for the FL5 Type R. Alrighty guys, that wraps up the oil and oil filter change on the Honda Civic Type R FL5. Now personally, I'm going to be changing the oil with 5,000 to 7,000 mile intervals. I know Honda recommends 10,000 miles, and that's just way too long in my opinion. Now it's up to you if you want to go ahead and use full synthetic or conventional. So if you're going to use conventional oil, I'd probably recommend 3,000 to 5,000 miles. So personally, I'm going to go 5,000 to 7,000 miles since I'm using full synthetic. And obviously I'm going to be monitoring oil level because I've heard that turbo cars can actually burn some more oil. And also when you're lifting up the Civic Type R FL5, just go ahead and use major caution when you're actually taking your floor jack and lifting up on the front and rear lift points. You don't want to damage your car if your floor jack isn't positioned quite well. And then once the car is up on jack stands, just make sure this thing is very secure because as we all know, it's very dangerous working underneath the car. Anyhow, we got a lot more planned coming for the Honda Civic Type R FL5, and I hope you guys can stay tuned. And if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.